The metal corridor hummed with a low pulse, a rhythm that matched Captain Rainker's heartbeat. He had traveled across half the galaxy to deliver peace papers to the Empire of Valeth. Yet all he could think about was the warning whispered by his commander. Never meet the Queen's eyes. The doors opened with a hiss. Light poured in like liquid gold. The throne chamber stretched endless, alive with flowing symbols and shimmering crystal walls. Soldiers of the alien court stood silent as statues, their armor breathing faint green light. And at the far end, upon a throne of living vines, sat the Queen. She was not what he expected, not monstrous, not mechanical. She looked alive in every way. Skin of faint silver, eyes glowing like a calm storm. When she moved, the air moved with her. Even sound seemed to obey. Rain bowed, his voice steady though his thoughts raced. "I bring peace from Earth," he said. She didn't answer. She only tilted her head slightly, her gaze slipping through him like wind through smoke. She's beautiful and terrifying. The thought flashed across his mind before he could stop it. And then it happened. The Queen's lips curved faintly, her voice a soft whisper that rolled through the air and his mind at once. "Careful, human. I can hear everything." Every guard in the room straightened. The translator unit on his chest blinked uselessly. She had not spoken aloud in any known language. Yet he had heard her clearly. Inside, he swallowed hard, trying to keep his mind blank. But thoughts came faster. Fear, awe, confusion, attraction, and her expression deepened with faint amusement. "You think loud," she said, still not moving. "And your mind burns like fire. It hurts to listen." Rain forced himself to breathe. "Your Majesty, I meant no offense," he said. "Humans don't know how to hide thoughts." The Queen rose slowly from her throne, each step echoing like thunder underwater. She walked down toward him, her eyes never blinking. "Your kind is dangerous. Not because of strength, but because of chaos," she said. "You speak even when silent," he wanted to answer. But every word he thought became sound in her mind. So he forced his brain to focus on numbers, on training, on anything but her eyes. Yet the more he tried to suppress it, the louder his thoughts became. Memories, hopes, fears, all pouring out. She stopped before him, close enough that he could see faint patterns moving beneath her skin. "You hide pain," she whispered. "You have lost someone." His breath caught. Because she was right. "How do you know that?" he asked quietly. She smiled sadly. "I don't know, I feel it." Silence fell, thick and heavy, then the chamber shook. An alarm echoed through the palace. Guards turned toward the upper balconies. Someone shouted in Valeth tongue. Energy flares burst across the ceiling. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Intruders," she said. Rain instinctively reached for his sidearm. But the Queen raised a hand. "No," she said. "You stay." Within seconds the floor rippled, forming walls of crystal around her. But before they sealed, she looked back at him. "You came for peace," she said softly. "But peace rarely comes without blood." He wanted to help, but the barrier held him in place, transparent yet solid as diamond. Through it he saw figures of shadow and light pouring into the throne room. Alien rebels, their armor black and spiked, weapons humming with red energy. The Queen moved like lightning, her hands glowing bright blue. Every gesture sent waves of power crashing through the intruders. But for each she struck down. More appeared. They were after her. Not the court, Rain's instincts screamed. He had been ordered to observe, not interfere. But when one rebel aimed a blade at her back, he acted without thinking. He drew his weapon and fired. The beam struck true, the attacker fell. The Queen turned, shocked, their eyes met again. And for a moment everything froze. In that instant, she saw his memory, the war, the loss, the promise he made never to kill again. And yet he had done it to save her. She felt it all as clearly as her own heartbeat. When the last intruder fell, the chamber lay in ruins, smoke curling upward. The guards returned to order. The Queen stood over the wreckage. Her silver eyes dimmed, she looked at Rain, still trapped behind the crystal, and spoke in a voice almost gentle. "You thought I was reading you," she said. "But you were speaking to me all along." The barrier dissolved. He stepped forward slowly. "Then what now?" he asked. She tilted her head, the faintest trace of a smile on her lips. "Now, human," she said. "You will learn silence," and somewhere deep within his mind, he heard her again, quieter, closer. "Because your thoughts are too loud, and they are beginning to change me." The Queen realizes the human's emotions are affecting her telepathic balance, and the first bond between their minds begins to form. The palace burned with quiet light after the attack. Alien healers moved like silver ghosts, repairing walls that bled energy instead of stone. Captain Rain Kerr walked behind the Queen through the endless corridors, his boots echoing against the living floor. He wanted to ask 100 questions, but one look from her kept him silent. When they reached the inner chamber, the walls closed like petals, isolating them from the outside world. The Queen turned, her expression unreadable. "You disobeyed," she said calmly. "Humans were ordered not to interfere." Rain lowered his head. "You would have died," he answered. "I couldn't just stand there." For a moment, silence, then a faint smile touched her lips. "Your kind always chooses impulse over order," she said. "That is why I fear you," he met her eyes. "And yet you saved me," she added softly, almost to herself. She walked toward a crystal basin at the center of the room. The water inside glowed like captured starlight. She touched it, and images rippled across the surface. Ancient wars, falling worlds, broken minds. "This is our curse," she whispered. "We hear every thought, every scream, until silence becomes a dream we can never reach." Rain stepped closer, drawn by her voice. "You hear everything?" he asked. "Even pain?" She nodded. "Especially pain." Her tone cracked for the first time. "It never stops." He looked at her, suddenly understanding. She wasn't a goddess, she was alone, surrounded by noise that never ended. "Is that why you hate humans?" he asked quietly. She shook her head slowly. "No, I do not hate," she said. "I fear what I do not understand." He hesitated, then thought without speaking. "She's more human than she knows." Her eyes widened instantly. She heard it, but instead of anger there was confusion. Warmth even. "Do not think such things," she said, her voice trembling. "It clouds me." Before he could reply, a knock echoed on the chamber wall. A soldier entered, armor scorched. "My Queen. The council demands your presence. They say the human must be questioned." The Queen's face hardened again. "Tell them the human is under my protection," she said. "Any who oppose will answer to me." The soldier bowed and left. The Queen turned back to Rain, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "They fear you," she said. "They believe you brought something with you, a signal. A voice that disturbed our minds before the attack." Rain frowned. "I brought nothing," he said, "only words of peace." She studied him silently, then reached out, her fingers brushing the air near his temple. "Then why does your mind sound like thunder to me?" She whispered. He froze as warmth spread through his skull. Visions flickered, and her memories, her world of endless noise, and she saw his memories too. A quiet earth morning, the face of a woman he lost, the promise he broke. She stepped back, shaken. "Your mind, it is alive, chaotic, beautiful," she said softly. "It sings," he laughed weakly. "Humans call it overthinking," but she didn't laugh. She touched her chest as if something inside hurt. "When you think I feel it here," she said. "Your emotions echo through me like a song I cannot silence." Rain didn't know what to say. "Then maybe don't silence it," he said quietly. "Maybe listen." For the first time, the Queen looked away. "If I listen too long," she whispered, "I may forget who I am." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber dimmed. A deep vibration shook the floor. The Queen's eyes went wide. "They found us," she said. "The rebels followed your ship's trail." Alarms rang again. Walls opened, revealing the sky above the palace. Ships of black steel descended, their engines screaming. She turned to him, her voice sharp now. "Go to the lower vaults. There is a way out through the ancient tunnels." Rain shook his head. "I'm not leaving you." Her telepathic voice thundered in his skull. "This is not your fight, human." He shouted back aloud, "It became my fight when I saved you." She stared at him, torn between duty and something she didn't understand. Then she stepped close, her hand glowing. "If you stay, you'll die," she said. He smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure they remember why humans never back down." The Queen's lips parted in shock. A strange spark flickered in her eyes, a feeling she hadn't known in centuries. Admiration? Maybe more. Outside, the first explosion struck. Shaking the tower to its core, guards screamed orders. Energy bolts lit the horizon. The Queen looked at him one last time, her voice barely a whisper inside his mind. "Your thoughts are too loud, human. And now, they're in my heart." The Queen begins to feel human emotion through their link as the next wave of rebels attacks the palace, and the bond between mind and heart grows impossible to hide. The night sky above the Valeth Palace burned red. Ships of black iron tore through the clouds. Energy fire lit the horizon. The great spires of the capital fell one by one, and the alien Queen stood on the balcony, Her silver hair glowing in the chaos below, human Captain Rain Kerr loaded his weapon, standing beside alien guards who barely trusted him. Their eyes filled with doubt. He didn't care. All he saw was the Queen, standing tall against a storm that wanted her dead. Why are they doing this? He asked, his voice drowned by the roar of engines. She didn't answer right away, her gaze fixed on the burning sky. Because of you, she said finally. Because they believe your mind has infected mine. He frowned. Infected? She turned to him. Since you came, I hear your thoughts louder than the rest. They see me hesitate, feel emotion, and to them, that is weakness. Rain took a step closer. And what do you believe? The Queen's eyes softened just slightly. I believe your mind carries something powerful, something even our kind has forgotten. Before he could reply, the walls shook again. A beam of red light struck the courtyard. Soldiers screamed. She lifted her hand and unleashed a wave of energy that shattered the ground, her telepathic power pulsing like thunder. Rain covered his head, but in that moment he heard something inside his skull. Not his own thought, not her words, but both merged. Her power had reached too deep, linking their minds fully. He saw flashes, her childhood under endless voices, the pain of every mind she ever touched, the loneliness of a queen who could hear everything but never feel silence. And she saw his pain too. The battlefield on Mars, the face of the woman he lost, the promise he broke when the connection ended. They both gasped for breath. You saw it, she whispered. You saw everything, he nodded. And you felt what it's like to be human, he said. Her expression changed. Confusion, awe, sorrow. You burn so bright inside, she said softly. Your emotions scream like stars exploding. And yet you keep living. He smiled faintly. That's what we do best. Suddenly a loud crack split the air. The enemy broke through the gates. Hundreds of shadowed soldiers rushed forward, their weapons humming with dark energy. The Queen turned to Rain. You must flee, she said. They'll kill you if you stay. He shook his head. If they want me, they'll have to go through me first. Her lips tightened. You are mad, she said. No, he replied. I'm human. She couldn't stop herself. She laughed. A real laugh, short and sharp. Something she hadn't done in decades. Then let's see what madness can do, she said. They stood together as the enemy entered, wave after wave of rebels flooding the courtyard. The Queen raised her hands, her mind exploding with psychic fire, each thought from her brain turning into deadly light, but her strength began to fade. Her eyes dimmed, and the soldiers kept coming. They're too many, one of her guards shouted. Rain stepped forward, his mind racing. If she can hear my thoughts, maybe I can help her. He focused on every human memory, every feeling, every spark of defiance that made his species strong. He shouted in his mind, You're not alone. Use me. Her eyes widened. No, you'll die. Then we die together, his thought echoed through her. Their link ignited. Light burst from both of them, energy spiraling into the sky. The rebels stopped mid-charge, screaming as the wave of psychic force hit them. The Queen's power amplified through his human emotions. Courage, love, rage, hope, all fused into one unstoppable surge. When the light faded, silence filled the battlefield. Every rebel lay unconscious. The palace still stood. The Queen fell to her knees, breathing hard. Rain caught her before she hit the ground. You used your life force, she said weakly. Why? He smiled. Because I couldn't let them take you. She stared at him, eyes trembling. You fool, she whispered. You're changing everything. As dawn broke, the Queen's army began to regroup. Word spread across the empire that the Queen had fought side by side with a human, and together they had destroyed an entire invasion force. From the shadows, her council watched, afraid, whispering among themselves. The Queen is no longer pure, they said. Her mind has merged with the humans. But the Queen didn't care. She sat beside Rain as he rested, her hand hovering above his heart, feeling its rhythm, its warmth, its noise. Your thoughts are still too loud, she whispered with a faint smile. But perhaps I no longer want silence. The Queen and the humans' minds merge completely in battle, creating a force neither race has seen before him. But now, her own empire begins to fear her, and humanity's fate becomes tied to hers forever. The palace was quiet after the battle. Smoke floated through the broken halls like ghosts. The once bright city of Valeth now lay dim beneath the pale sun. Captain Rain Kerr opened his eyes slowly, every muscle heavy. The world around him flickering between light and shadow. He saw her there, sitting beside his bed, the alien Queen, She looked different now, no crown, no armor, only silver skin and tired eyes when she spoke. Her voice was no longer a command but a whisper. "You slept for 2 days, human," she said. "You almost burned yourself away." He tried to smile. "Guess that's another human habit," he murmured. Her gaze softened. "You shared your mind with me." "No one has ever done that," she said. "Our species cannot connect without destroying one another, yet you lived." Rain shifted. "Maybe because humans are too stubborn to die." She tilted her head, almost smiling. "Or maybe," she said quietly, "because our minds were never enemies." Outside the chamber, shadows moved. Her council waited, whispering, "She has changed. She thinks like them. She feels like them." The oldest among them hissed, "The human has infected her. She must be purified before the people learn." The queen stood, hearing their thoughts like knives. "They plan to remove me," she said softly, "to erase what I have become." Rain sat up. "Then we run," he said, "before they try." She turned to him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "You would abandon your world for mine?" He nodded. "You saved me, I'll return the favor." Before they could move, the chamber doors burst open. Guards in golden armor surrounded them, weapons drawn. "My queen," said the High Minister, "forgive us. But your connection to the human threatens the Empire. Your mind must be cleansed." She raised her hand. "You dare," her voice thundered, energy flashing in the air, but her control faltered. The psychic link still unstable. Pain surged through her head, and through Rain's mind as well. He cried out, feeling her agony as his own. In desperation, he reached for her hand. "Focus on me," he thought. Block their noise. She gripped his palm. Their bond flared like fire. The guard staggered back as pure light erupted between them. Memories flowed again, his earth, her stars, his laughter, her loneliness, and until all sound vanished. When the light dimmed, the guards had fallen unconscious. The council fled in fear. The queen fell to her knees, gasping. Rain caught her before she hit the floor. "It's all right," he said. "I'm here." She looked up at him, her voice trembling. "You don't understand, we are merging. I can feel your pulse inside me. If this continues, we will become one." Rain hesitated, then whispered, "Maybe that's not a bad thing." She stared at him, 1,000 emotions flickering across her face. "If I merge with you, I will lose my crown, my name, my people," she said. "And if you don't?" he asked softly. "You'll lose yourself anyway." Outside, alarms blared again. Enemy fleets approaching. The rebels had returned, stronger, faster. The queen turned toward the window. "They want the throne, and my death will give it to them," she said. "But if they come, they will destroy everything, even your world." Rain rose. "Then let's give them something to fear," he said. She looked at him, something fierce burning in her eyes. "You would fight for me again?" she asked. "Not for you," he said, "for us." Together they walked through the shattered halls to the command deck. The sky ahead filled with dark ships like a swarm of nightmares. The queen placed her hand against the control crystal. "This time," she said, "I won't fight alone." Rain placed his hand beside hers. The link flared brighter than ever before. The ship's systems reacted, their combined will awakening something ancient, a hidden power the Valeth had long forgotten. The throne itself began to glow. She turned to him. "What are you doing?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Becoming more than a queen," she said, "and you, human, are becoming more than mortal." Their voices merged, their thoughts aligned, and across the sky, every ship, friend and foe, heard a single echo, a voice not of one being but of two souls fused together. "We are unity." The rebel fleet hesitated. The stars dimmed, and the war between worlds teetered on the edge of something new. The queen and Rain merged their minds completely, awakening an ancient power neither species understands. While her empire turns against her, and the rebel fleet closes in for the final confrontation, the sky above Valeth was no longer dark. It glowed with fire, light, and shadow colliding as the rebel fleet descended, their weapons charged to erase everything. The queen stood beside Rain on the palace balcony, her silver eyes reflecting the chaos, her mind burning with power she barely understood. All across the empire, soldiers felt it. Two voices inside their heads, one human, one divine. "Do not fight for fear. Fight for life." The voice echoed through the stars. And for the first time in generations, Valeth soldiers lowered their weapons. Rain looked at her, his thoughts steady. "They're listening to you." She turned to him, her voice trembling. "No, they're listening to us." The link between them pulsed brighter than before. Their minds no longer separate, their hearts beating in rhythm, every thought shared, every emotion felt. The Queen saw humanity through his eyes, fragile but fearless, broken but unyielding. She felt what it meant to love, to lose, to hope again. The rebels didn't stop. Hundreds of ships breaking through the atmosphere. Their leader, General Varric, appeared on the central screen, his voice full of venom. "You have betrayed our kind, my queen. You let the human disease infect your soul." She stood tall. "No," she said, her voice carrying both sorrow and strength. "I let him remind me that we were more than power," the general sneered. "Then die with him." His fleet opened fire, beams of red energy slicing through the clouds. Explosions shattered mountains. But the Queen didn't move. She closed her eyes. Her hand reaching for reins, he gripped it tightly. "Whatever happens, we face it together," he thought. She smiled faintly. Together. Then the light came. It started as a whisper between their minds. A single thought expanding like a heartbeat across the galaxy. Their bond becoming something greater than either of them. Their energy fused with the palace core. Every living crystal responding to their call. The palace lifted into the air, glowing brighter than a sun, its light spreading across the planet. The rebel beams vanished as they struck the field. Dissolving into harmless sparks, the power of unity spread outward, touching every ship, every mind, every world. Varric soldiers dropped their weapons, overwhelmed by visions of shared memories, human laughter, alien dreams, a universe without war. They fell to their knees, unable to fight what felt like hope itself. Inside the light, Rain's body trembled, his voice weak. "You can't hold it forever," he said. She looked at him, tears like silver rain down her face. "I don't need forever," she whispered. "I just need one moment of peace." The light reached its peak, then exploded outward, covering the stars in silence. When it faded, the war was over, the rebel fleet gone. Not destroyed, but transformed. Their ships drifting, their minds quiet. The first true silence the Queen had ever known. The palace descended slowly, the once broken city now glowing with calm light. Rain lay motionless, his body weak but alive. She knelt beside him, pressing her hand to his chest, his heart still beating, slow but steady. "You gave me peace," she said softly. "Something no empire, no army, no god could give." His eyes opened faintly. He smiled. "And you gave me purpose days later?" The council bowed before her once more, not out of fear but respect. They called her the Mind of Two Worlds, the ruler who ended the endless war. She declared that from that day, humanity and Valeth would share one voice in the galaxy, united by thought and choice. And as she looked at the stars that night, she felt him again, not in words but in presence. "You're still here," she whispered, his voice echoed faintly in her mind. "Always, your thoughts are too loud, remember?" She smiled, her heart calm for the first time. Her mind quiet at last. The silence between stars no longer felt empty. It felt alive. The Queen and the humans' unity ends a galactic war and creates a bond that bridges two species forever. The galaxy remembers them not as ruler and soldier, but as two minds that taught the stars how to feel again.